Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. On today's episode of me talking about 7 things, I'm going to be going over season 19, episode 1, Flesh and Fangs. Now, before I continue, please check out the link in the description below. Now, we start the episode with Matt saying how there is a challenge happening near his property. I believe Cole online on Facebook said that the challenge happened around 2 hours away from Matt's house. I don't know if that's true or not, but Matt decides to go out and check it out and help these survivalists and be a mentor. And then we see Cole and Tori. Cole has returned after tapping on XL Season 10, and he's completed his 21-day challenge, but he's kind of coming back for a redemption with the fans and to show that he's a really good survivalist. And we also meet Tori, who is new to the show. She's hiked 215 miles on the Appalachian Trail, 75 miles across the Sonoran Desert, 90 miles in Portugal, and 60 miles in Iceland. And she wants to find her next adventure, and her starting PSR is 5.8. And something I'm going to mention a little bit later is that during the episode, we see the PSRs kind of go up and down. So you may see on the screen it'll be like 6.8 to 7.2, and it'll kind of go up and down throughout the episode. And a lot of people were saying, oh, this person's PSR only jumped zero point 0.4 points, but just remember Tori started out at a 5.8, and Cole completed his first challenge in Africa in 2023 and has the record for the largest animal hunted in Naked and Afraid history. I believe it was a 900-pound eland, and he doesn't call this a redemption after leaving his 40-day challenge early in Colombia and wants to show that he's a good survivalist. I said that it was kind of a redemption for him, but he doesn't see it that way, and that's fine. And his starting PSR is a 6.1. Cole and Tori meet. Cole brought his bow and Tori brought paracord with a gator hook, and they're both given a pot, fire starter, and a bug net, but notice that there is no knife. They hike 4 miles through dense marshlands to make it to their water source, and they start building their shelter. They decide to make an A-frame shelter, and then we see Matt walking up, and we see that his PSR is a 9.8 and that this is his 10th challenge. And he introduces himself to the other two, and they're very happy to see him. And they start making a plan how Matt suggests them building a fire, and Tori makes the fire while he and Cole work on the shelter, because Matt fortunately brought a knife and that makes things easier. And they boil water after Tori makes the fire. And then Tori mentions having a headache and unfortunately throws up. And then Cole mentions willow bark and how it has an aspirin effect and goes to get some. And he tells Tori to chew on it to get the juices, but don't swallow the bark. And then Tori feels better, which is good. The group settles in for night 1 and prepare for mosquitoes. And they're not really bitten by mosquitoes this first night, it seems. It seems they're being bitten by quote-unquote micro ants, which are small fire ants that I believe were imported. Day 2, and Cole is going for a walk, and we see a lot of the bug bites, and they talk about how much they hurt, and they decide to pull some of the palm fronds out of the shelter, make a fire in their shelter, create some ash to get rid of the bugs, and the group goes to the water source, and Matt spots a water snake. And Tori is the designated snake whacker. She misses, but it comes onto land, so she manages to grab onto it. And Matt and Cole tell her it's a cottonmouth, but Cole online says that it's a banded water snake, I believe, and non-venomous. And I believe Cole was saying how he and Matt were kind of messing with Tori a little bit. And then Tori manages to take the snake out. They cook it and have their first meal. As night falls, the bugs descend. The ash had worked to get rid of the ants, but the mosquitoes came in during the night. And I just wanted to say, a lot of people mention why don't they use mud to get rid of the bugs. Unfortunately, mud is not a 100% effective tactic to use against bugs, and a lot of time there are things in the mud that might start biting or wriggling around or making things very uncomfortable. So unfortunately, mud is not 100% effective, for those wondering. Day 3, and the group didn't sleep well. There are flies and gnats irritating the survivalists in the morning. Matt goes to get some heart of palm, and Cole manages to successfully hunt a squirrel. So they cook up the heart of palm that Matt got and the squirrel that Cole got and have a nice meal. And then Matt mentions Cole is the first person to get him food with a bow and arrow. And there have been a few times in the past where individuals have successfully hunted with a bow and arrow and gotten meals, but this may be the first time that Matt does not have his bow and arrow and someone else successfully hunted food from. But it was a very touching moment. And Cole got emotional because you get complimented by a legendary survivalist. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Day 5, and Cole mentions that there's another pond on the map and they all go to see what's over there, and it turns out there's an alligator. And so Matt gets a plan together to catch the alligator, and they manage to hook it and begin tiring it out and getting it onto shore. And then Matt gets on the gator's back and he and Cole wrap the mouth up. And this is the first instance we see the PSR gauge going up and or down during the episode, where his PSR goes from a 6.3 to a 6.8. And Tori manages to take the gator out, and the group has food. And we see Tori's PSR go from a 6.2 to a 6.7. They begin processing their alligator meat so it doesn't spoil. They make a smoker and begin smoking some of the meat and then cooking the rest. And Matt renders the fat of the alligator to make oil so they can fry it, which sounds delicious. But then they're worried about their meat being stolen in the night, and during the night they can hear noises, and Matt thinks that there may be a mama bearing cubs around, but they yell into the darkness and whatever was out there seems to be scared away, but we don't know exactly what it was. Day 6, and Tori mentions 2 rack of ribs missing from where they had it. The group is eating what they can to keep it out of the paws of bears. Also, there's a moment where we see a bear and a coyote hanging out together, and I thought that was really cool. It's like a Disney movie. And then that night, they are getting a bit of micro ant bites, and they hurt a lot. Day 11, and the lack of sleep and large amount of bug bites are taking its toll, and Cole is shown to be the most affected by this, and he seems to really want to leave. He goes for a walk. He says he's depressed, and his PSR goes from 6.8 to 6.6. And to kind of help boost his mood, Matt decides to find some way to distract him, and he fortunately spots some pigs. So Matt tells Cole about it, and they go hunting for pigs. And then Cole manages to hit one with his bow and arrow, and after tracking it, he and Matt find that Cole has managed to dispatch the pig, and they get some food out of it. And Cole gets his second wind and is ready to continue. Tori wants to learn to hunt to help provide. Day 12, and Tori wants to practice with Cole's bow. And Matt uses orange peels for target practice. Oranges grow in Florida, and so they probably found some and picked some oranges. And we didn't see that, but it's just assumed they found an orange tree and picked oranges, and so they had a good amount of fruit during the challenge. And Matt uses the orange peels for target practice, and she does a good job, and Matt and Cole give her pointers throughout. Later, a storm approaches, promising rain. The downpour begins, and it continues into the night. Day 14, and it is still raining. They collect firewood and try to keep the fire going, and the storm continues to day 15, and they built up their shelter and kind of had a wall on the side to keep the wind out. And then day 16, the storm is gone. The jerky is running low and they need to get more food. Cole spots a tail drag from an alligator. The group find the gator and surround it, and they basically come up with a plan on the spot, and they manage to get the gator, and the group processes the gator and begins feasting. Day 17, and another storm approaches. They go to get some firewood before the rain, but while Cole is cutting up some of the bigger branches to get firewood, he accidentally cuts his finger, and the medic is called, and his hand is bandaged up. His PSR goes from a 7.6 to a 7.4. Day 18, and it is not storming for the time being, and they all actually slept well during the night. And Cole, unfortunately, cannot hunt as much because he can't really move his finger around too much without aggravating his injury, so he decides to stick around camp and get some firewood, and Tori and Matt go hunting. And I also noticed that the group has like a fence and a bench at their camp, and so we see, I'm sure it was a little bit of Matt's engineering background that came into play with the building of the fence and the bench, and Matt spots an armadillo, and he and Tori start tailing it, and Tori takes a shot at it, but unfortunately is unable to dispatch it. Day 20, Matt and Tori do some more hunting, and Matt points out a rabbit to Tori, and she takes a shot and hits its leg, and then we cut to commercial, and we see the survival kit section where Hooty the owl is being fed walking catfish by the group, and walking catfish is an invasive species, and they have had so much food that they're just like, here, Hooty, have the walking catfish. And when I think of Hooty, I think of Hooty from the Owl House, who is like, hi, Luz! And it's really funny because Alex Hirsch, who voices Hooty, wasn't supposed to be the original voice actor for Hooty, but he was doing a favor for Dana Terrace, who was just kind of wanting to get some of the lines out, and Alex Hirsch did a funny Mickey Mouse impersonation for Hooty, and Dana was just like, yes, that is the voice of Hooty now, and he's like, oh, hi, Luz, I'm Hooty, woo! And so it's all very fascinating. But yes, they have an owl named Hooty that they fed walking catfish, and everything was great. And after the commercial, Tori and Matt chase the rabbit, and Tori dispatches it, and her PSR goes from 6.5 to 6.7. They process the rabbit and have rabbit stew. And I also wanted to note that their camp is called Camp Surthrival. That night, there's thunder in the distance, but they're all ready for extraction because it is night 20. Day 21, and the group heads towards extraction, which is 6 miles away through dense forest, sawgrass, and marshlands. After hiking a few hours, they are extracted in a cool-looking vehicle. It's like a monster truck without the metal plating. It's all very interesting. And Cole lost only 7 pounds, and his PSR went from 7.4 to 8.0, even though he did start out at 6.1. Yep. And Tori's PSR goes from, it was originally 5.8, but at the end it said her PSR went from 6.7 to 7.1, and she lost 12 pounds. And Matt is the second survivalist to reach over 300 challenge days and has 307 total. And he lost 8 pounds, and his PSR goes from 9.8 to 9.9. All in all, a really good episode. I really enjoyed it. It's nice seeing a group kind of being set up for success where they're not sitting around and starving for 21 days. They had a bunch of food. They all got along really well. And also, Naked and Afraid has been known to not show as many successes as the survivalists got throughout a challenge. So survivalists have eaten more than what was shown a lot of the time. And they probably had even more on this challenge, but they showed a lot of their successes. And Matt is an incredible mentor, incredible survivalist. Cole did a good job, and I think redeemed himself a little bit with the fans because they were kind of upset with him after he left on XL. And Tori did a really good job as well and was willing to learn. So hopefully we can see them all come back at some point. But thank you so much for listening. Next week, we have No Tools Allowed. Veteran survivalists Kai and Dan take on their toughest challenge yet, surviving 14 days in Thailand with no tools at all. But when they can't ignite a fire, their challenge is quickly threatened. So I'm interested to see that. I know Castaways was a 3-week challenge and they had no tools, but on Castaways, they were on an island that had a lot of garbage on it that the survivors were able to utilize. And it looks like Kai and Dan do not have a garbage-filled island to try and survive on. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I bet they'll do great. Thank you all so much for listening. Please like, comment nice things, and subscribe. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye-bye.